Welcome to the February 2026 edition of Hunt Camp Mail. I didn't get to attend the Safari Club International convention in Nashville this year because I had to attend a ceremony for my goddaughter, and that took priority. But my wife, Rebecca, filled in for me and attended the show in my absence.
Coming to you live from SCI Convention in Nashville for Desert Dog Outdoors. We are here. And we have Donald Trump Jr. with his Secret Service.
And I want to thank all of the vendors, outfitters, and attendees who showered my wife with kindness and hospitality during the convention. She just had a great time. A lot of you out there and a lot of companies wanted to meet with me this year at the convention. And I really wanted to meet all of you and kind of get the lowdown on some new products that are coming out that I'm hearing about. And I'll definitely resume my normal SCI attendance for the convention next year. My email really got flooded with questions and comments this month, and hopefully I don't if I don't respond to you in this video, then I was able to send you a personal email between us. And our first letter for February is from George in Kansas. George wrote, I just started watching your channel last month. You are a breath of fresh air on YouTube. Everything you say is logical and researched, and you add experience to the mix that other YouTube personalities do not have. While watching some of your videos, it seems as if you drive a short distance from your house in any direction and start hunting on public land. Unfortunately, less than 1% of the land in my state is public. My advice to hunters out west is to fight as hard as you can to keep your public land open to the public. You probably take for granted what you have. Well, right now, honestly, while everyone's attention is on Epstein, the Olympics, and the cartels going apeshit in Mexico, there is some troubling things going on in the hunting and fishing world right now. Oregon, by Oregon I mean the entire state of Oregon, is pretty close to enacting a ballot proposition that will completely ban all hunting and fishing in the entire state of Oregon. And that seems incredibly crazy, but it's something that might actually happen. Also, the National Forest Service just announced that they're putting forward a rule that will limit public input and eliminate transparency when it comes to public land use or proposed public land use. Basically, they're going to be able to do whatever the hell they want without public input or oversight. And both Republicans and Democrats are still using every trick in the book to grab public land in the name of affordable housing, which is code for giving the land to their wealthy donors with no stipulations. This strategy started with Mike Lee in Utah, which is a real POS. And luckily, we all banded together and we stopped him. But now, some Democrat scoundrels like Gavin Newsom and Bob Ferguson are looking to cash in on public land for affordable housing. We went for years with the global warming scam all these politicians were trying to get rich off of. Then it went to the COVID scam all these politicians were getting rich off of. And Now I'm telling you, the new wave is an affordable housing scam, and they're tying in public land with that, and we need to fight as hard as we can to stop that. And our next letter for this month is from Tim in New Mexico. Tim wrote, "Your last few Hunt Camp Mail videos didn't show up in my feed, and I had to go to your channel and find them. I think YouTube is shadow banning you again. I went back to catch up on those mail videos and saw your comment on your tier list videos and how you got the idea from another influencer who told you you need to piss people off if you want views, and you put his idea to the test. Maybe YouTube favors edgy or controversial videos and it doesn't like your factual style." Well, Tim, I mean, you might be right. I don't know. My views have been plummeting over the last couple of months, so you might be onto something here. But that influencer that gave me the idea has over 250,000 subscribers, so he knows how to make a business out of YouTube a lot better than I do. YouTube really isn't a business for me. It's more of a hobby at this point. But his theory on how to get views was spot on. People really want to be angry about things. So, that they just thrive on anger and negativity. And my videos with the most dislikes are my most popular videos by far. It's not even close. My most hated videos are my most popular videos. I honestly think that if I posted a video entitled it "Savage Sucks," I think I would get a guaranteed 100,000 views for that video. But if I titled that exact same video "How to Accurize a Savage," it'll probably only get 4,000 or 5,000 views. And unfortunately, this is a sad reality. People just don't want to learn things or have logical discussions anymore. People want to feel something. And if I post a video that bashes on something that they like, they get angry and they watch it. I will throw some clickbait out there once in a while just to please the algorithm and keep my channel going, but I really don't like doing that. And our next letter is from James in Carson City, Nevada, and I love me some Carson City. James wrote, "I thought you were exaggerating when you said ELD-X bullets explode. The 6.5 Creedmoor Factory 143 grain ELD-X entrance on the ribcage at 100 yards. We found a very small piece of lead on the offside, and the jacket was found lodged in the liver. Yes, it was a dead deer that didn't go too far, but not my idea of hunting bullet performance." Yeah, that's not good performance if you actually want to maximize meat recovery on your animal. And imagine how bad that would have been if you took a high shoulder shot and hit the scapula. It might not have even killed the deer. That thing just might have just ran forever, and even at that, with the shot you took, you had to track it. Honestly, just a standard Barnes bullet would have probably yielded the same dead deer, but you would have had a better blood trail to follow, and you would have had far less meat damage. And our next letter is from Wayne in Sydney, Australia. Wayne wrote, "I'm planning to buy a rifle for hunting. I learned that the Browning XBOLT is a very good choice from your previous videos, but now the XBOLT 2 has come out. Just wondering if the XBOLT 2 is as good as the original XBOLT." Well, the XBOLT 2 has a better trigger, which was really my only complaint with the old XBOLT. And on those older XBOLTs, once you added in a cheap, $15 M Carbo spring into it, it made the trigger actually really great. But they did change that for the XBOLT 2 and put a better trigger in it. The XBOLT 2 also has a slightly smoother action because they improved the bolt guidance system in the receiver. But in doing that, they eliminated that awesome M16 style extractor and replaced it with a Sacco style extractor, which is a downgrade in that department. And our next letter is from Ben in the non fraudulent part of Minnesota. What is the non fraudulent part of Minnesota, Ben? I guess that's where there's no Leering centers. Ben wrote, I was lucky enough to harvest my first bull elk in November. It was done the hard way. No guide, backcountry, and on foot. I was also able to stalk close. I hit it twice with a 175 grain Nosler ACCUBOND long range out of a 7mm Remington Ultramag. Both bullets disintegrated shortly after impact. Both bullets also hit bone. The Nosler website says they are bonded bullets and are designed to hold up at short distance also. The elk died, so I'm not going to complain too much, but the meat damage from all the fragments is the worst part. My question is this normal for a bonded bullet, or has Nosler's quality started going downhill? Well, I honestly don't think Nosler quality is going downhill right now. I think your problem is twofold. What you need to understand is not all bonded bullets are made the same, even within the same lineup. I mean, look at the Swift A-frame, for instance, probably the greatest Africa bullet ever made. They make two versions of that bullet. They make one version that holds together better for dangerous game, and they make another version that deforms easier on thin-skinned animals. And the Nosler ACCUBOND is kind of no different. The regular ACCUBOND is made to hold together, and I think the regular ACCUBOND is actually tough as nails. But the ACCUBOND long range, which is the bullet that you used, is made with a thinner jacket, and it has a larger hollow cavity inside the bullet, so it opens up easier for long distance shooting where impact velocity is going to be a lot lower. And now the second part of your problem, which is that you're using a super fast elk cartridge and shooting animals at close distance with that cartridge. And add to this the fact that you're using a bullet made to expand at low velocities, and that's really your issue. Either switch to a bullet made to hold together in your 7mm rum, like something like a TTSX, or just use a cartridge like a 30-06 and use whatever bullet you want to use. A 180 grain bullet in a 30-06 is going to be perfect. You're not going to have any problems at high or low velocities with it. But in the end, you have to match the bullet with the intended impact velocity. And that's the real game we're playing with hunting bullets. And our next letter is from Joel from Western Montana. Joel wrote, my daughter's favorite rifle is our beautiful Model 70 and 240 WSSM. She made an excellent shot on a mule deer buck at 310 yards with that rifle. I also attached a photo to show the buck and rifle. Thank you for putting out excellent content that has helped me be a better mentor to my kids. That's a great buck that your daughter shot. That's a fantastic first buck and great shot too. And thank you for raising her right and getting her actively involved in hunting at that age. Your daughter is basically the future for all of us. And old guys like me, we're going to be gone in a couple of decades, and we need to pass the torch to the next generation. And next we have a letter from Joshua in Alaska. Joshua wrote, hello, Desert Dog. I've been watching your videos for almost a year now and appreciate the highly thought out and detailed information you provide. My question is as follows. I've recently acquired a Ruger Hawkeye African in 416 Ruger. I'm looking to set it up for my father, and I'm trying to decide on an all-purpose Alaska load for it. Bear, moose, and caribou mostly. I'm a hand loader, but I haven't loaded for this cartridge yet. I was thinking some flavor of 350 grain bullets for the flatter trajectory? Well, Joshua, I think you did enough research to figure this out on your own already. The 400 grainers are for animals like Cape buffalo and elephant. So definitely step down to a 350 grain bullet if you're using lead, and a 300 grain bullet if you're using copper bullets for Alaska. Like I stated, if you want to load, like I stated in my a past video, if you want to load for the 416 Ruger with high quality, temperature stable powders, you're going to run out of case capacity with the 400 grainers with that particular cartridge. So stepping down in bullet weight is going to help with the case capacity issues as well. So go ahead and do that. And our next letter is from Noah in Western Kansas. Noah wrote, "Hi, Desert Dog. My name is Noah, and I'm from Western Kansas. I've been a watcher and subscriber since at least 2020 and always enjoy the content you create. Something I've noticed over the last few years is that manufacturers of firearms have a fascination with the number 7. Winchester's flagship model has always been the 70. Remington's is the 700, which was previously the 721. Ruger's is the 77 series. Remington expanded this into their shotguns, such as the 870. Auto and pump actions, the 740 and 760. Their 7 and their cheap 783 all have the number 7. Winchester has a lot of other firearms with 7s as well. Why is this? What's the significance?" That's a very different question, but I'll go ahead and answer it. I mean, we could go on and on with this, Noah. There's 7 days in a week, right? There's 7 seas. There's 7 continents. There's 7 colors in a rainbow. There's the biblical 7 seals. Numerologists believe that if you're constantly seeing the number 7, it means that you're in the midst of some type of spiritual awakening. But personally, I believe that you're experiencing something referred to by psychologists as synchronicity. Basically, your mind is attempting to attribute meaning to coincidence. And that's basically the basis for all superstition. And our next letter is from Mark from San Francisco, California. Mark wrote, "Hello, Desert Dog. I have a question, but first I'd like to tell you how much I enjoy your videos. I just discovered your channel and I'm watching every night. I've learned a ton and I'm looking forward to learning more. I've been a pistol rifle guy since 1962, but I just started hunting 2 years ago. Here's the question. My daughter and son-in-law are going to Colorado in July and they need black bear protection. He has a Glock SF-20 10mm and Buffalo Bore hardcast cartridges. He wants to carry a rifle as well, and he's undecided whether to use his 12 gauge, a 4570, or 308 Saiga. Mark, I hate to say this. I'm not going to do the bullshit button, but you are grossly overestimating black bears, in my opinion. I do have the same Glock 20 short frame that your son-in-law has, and I wear it while fly fishing at times, especially when I'm in places like Alaska or, Montana. Where walking around in Colorado, though, with your 10mm pistol while you hold a shotty full of slugs is just way overkill, for black bear protection. And it's not necessary at all. He could open carry his 10mm like this, if it makes him feel better, but I really wouldn't go beyond something like this. And our next letter is from Hagen in Germany, but he's currently living in Mexico City. Hagen wrote, "Today, Ian of Forgotten Weapons published a video detailing his first real deal hunt, a guided elk hunt in New Mexico, where he described it as serious, real, hardcore hunting. He goes on to explain that his previous hunting experience has been field-to-table hunts in Texas and one elk hunt 2 years ago, which was very easy. Ian was not successful on this hunt, because for the one and only shot opportunity he got, he took a shot at 647 yards, resulting in a clean miss. I was quite shocked at this clear instant of overestimating one's ability, but even more so at the comments, which overwhelmingly supported the video. This was a real hunt. Better a clean miss than a wounded animal. This hunting video is much better than your previous hunting videos because it's what most hunters experience, and excellent examples of ethical harvesting. I can only assume that those commenters aren't hunters. To the few people questioning the ethics of that shot, Ian responded, with the rifle, cartridge, scope, tripod, and dope at hand, I felt it was a viable shot. There have been a couple of instances before when I questioned Ian's judgment, but I do have respect for what he does in preserving knowledge on historical firearms, even though his authority status is overblown in my opinion. With that being said, I'd like to know what you think of the situation. What should a novice hunter do or learn after learning the basics in a field-to-table class? What would be the natural progression? Why did the guide even let Ian take that shot? Why do so many people overestimate their shooting skills in the field when it comes to hunting? And why do so many people defend that? As always, Hagen, it's great to hear from you and a fantastic letter. I tried to watch that video that you're referring to, and I'll tell you the truth, it was very cringeworthy to watch, especially because I felt he was trying to come across as some type of hunting expert in the process of producing that video. Sadly, that's what most non-hunters think hunting is about these days. And in reality, the industry is to blame, and Ian is a part of the industry. In my opinion, that video was a blatant display of unethical behavior. But I don't think Ian was being malicious. He just doesn't know any better, and neither do his fans. What you witnessed in that video, in the comment section, was the blind leading the blind in an echo chamber. The priority for a new hunter is to learn to hunt. Learn to find animals, where they live, what they do, the seasons, what they do during the day, what they do at night. Learn every behavior of your prey. Then learn how to stalk that prey. Learn things like field dressing animals and how you're going to recover it when you shoot it. All of the guns and ammunition stuff needs you to come well after you learn that. And onto the hunting guides. That's a totally different topic here. A lot of these modern millennial hunting guides I'm seeing out west are absolutely the worst. And some of them are kind of becoming celebrities on YouTube influencers' channels. They're like guests on it. And, honestly, when I watch them, many of them lack basic hunting skills, and they're often lazy hunters. What their MO is they'll go out with their client and, they'll use high-powered modern optics to spot game at really long distances. Then they'll tell their clients to take a long shot from where they spotted the animal. And, whether they miss the animal or not, they get to say, well, I gave you a shot opportunity. Hey, I have you get a 99% shot opportunity on my hunts. That's what they say, but they're trying to get their clients to just take these long pot shots at animals from these long distances, so they could say, hey, I gave him a shot opportunity, he missed. Basically, these modern millennial guides, they want to be paid to do to put forth the least amount of effort, and that's just lazy. And quite honestly, too, their hunts are so expensive nowadays that the clientele they attract are usually rich guys accustomed to doing canned hunts. So even the client doesn't know any better. And what this amounts to is people probably in the last 15 years have grown to have the expectation that, oh, I'm going on an elk hunt. I better get ready for 700-800 yard shot because I'm going elk hunting. And that's just not how it is. These people just aren't stalking up to the elk. They're shooting them from where they spot them with high powered glass. And our next letter is from Chris from St. Louis, Missouri. Chris wrote, I shoot left handed and my rifles aren't. Is it necessary for lefties to go on safari with a left hand rifle for safety's sake? I remember the Cape Buffalo charging the bow hunter video you put up. Okay. Well, honestly, this question is kind of impossible for me to answer without knowing your level of proficiency. Some guys like Craig Boddington are lefties, but can run a rifle like an expert no matter what side the ejection port's on. Personally, though, I'll always recommend that lefties buy a lefty rifle. It'll be so much easier and faster for you to use, so why wouldn't you use a left-hand rifle? Also, from a safety standpoint, a blown case is much more dangerous if you're getting a cheek weld on the same size that the brass ejects from. So just buy a lefty rifle. And the next letter is from William, and William didn't indicate where he was from. William wrote, I utilize only Lapua brass and bullets purchased in lots of 100, Federal primers, and N570. Each charge is individually weighed to 1/10 of a grain. Fired cases are visually examined, deprimed, and case length noted. Cases are etched with serial numbers facilitating records retention. Wow. Cases are then liquid tumbled in detergent with stainless steel needles. Upon exiting the tumbler, cases are transferred to a dry tumble separator. Then compressed air is used to dry to ensure stainless steel pin recovery. Clean cases are then annealed, primer pockets examined and debris removed as required. Next, cases are spray coated with Hornady dry lubricant, and the full-length resizing die receive an initial dry lube spray for the next resizer bulb. At this point, I intend to introduce the 21st century expander mandrel, replacing the bulb. Should the neck mandrel be introduced immediately after annealing, allowing the case to normalize on the mandrel, or allow the case to normalize without the mandrel? Chronographs demonstrate up to 50 feet per second velocity variability, which insults my attempts to contain variability and adds another incalculable variable to the ballistics calculator. Thus, I am considering the neck tension of the brass as the possible cause for the large velocity variance. Oh boy, you must be an engineer or something. You're making my head spin here. When you add up the benefits of your very meticulous reloading procedure and weight sorting, actual results are going to be very minimal when you compare that to just using an expander mandrel rather than an expander ball on your die. Using expander mandrels honestly gives me the best consistency boost out of anything I do during my reloading process. In fact, I could be a sloppy, lazy reloader using mediocre brass and powder, and using an expander mandrel alone will give me better results than using an expander ball with the best components available. You can weight sort everything and use the perfect powder charge, but that means nothing if you're having neck tension issues. In retrospect, you should have been using expander mandrels, before messing with all those other variables. Neck tension is the number one killer of consistency, and you'll never achieve it with the expander ball on a reloading die. I try to achieve about 2 to 3 thousandths of neck tension, which is actually interference fit, with my target ammunition, and about 4 thousandths interference with my hunting ammunition. I use an expander mandrel after full-length resizing. In fact, you should run the mandrel through the case neck twice instead of once. I've tested this on an amp press before, on my buddy's amp press, and running the mandrel through twice actually gives you the best results. Running it through once is better than using an expander ball, but running it through that expander mandrel twice, you really start to see the consistency gains with that. Um, and to be honest with you, looking at your whole process here, there is recent evidence that we may be over cleaning our brass. Especially guys that are OCD reloaders like us. Modern theory is that the carbon residue inside the neck provides a level of lubricity that enhances consistency in seating and bullet release upon firing. Most professional shooters today prefer carbon fouled necks these days for the reduction in friction. So that might be something you might want to look into and change your process up a little bit. I stopped using stainless steel pins last year, and I simply wet tumble my brass now using brass juice. And don't become a victim of paralysis by analysis. Once you realize that the barrel on your rifle is 99% of what makes a rifle precise, nitpicking loads becomes kind of less of an obsession. And our next letter is from Craig from Canada. Craig wrote, I've heard you speak highly of the 168 grain TTSX for your 30-06 as a reliable option, but I'm curious what other bullets you are fond of for smaller or larger game. What bullets for 30-06 would you select if you were hunting all the game of North America like Dr. Jones did? Let's say lead is allowed. Well, Craig, I would do exactly what Dr. Jones did and shoot everything in North America with a Nosler partition. That was my go-to bullet before the lead ammo ban in my state. And honestly, it would be my go-to hunting bullet today if I could use it in my state. And our next letter is from Maximilian in Germany. Maximilian wrote, I just wanted to say thank you for your videos. I've discovered your channel 1 year ago. Since then, I've watched many of your videos. As a German hunter, I also like your channel because you promote ethical shots at game. You also made me think about selling my Heim 88B PH and 458 Win Mag, which I bought before I discovered your channel. I'm planning to go on safari next year. Your videos and the opinion of a PH I talked to made me rethink the Heim for the safari. In Germany, this rifle is also not well suited and ammunition is very hard to come by. I'm thinking of getting a Mauser or Model 70 Safari Express instead. What would you recommend for me? Well, thank you for the letter, Maximilian. And since you live in Germany, why not support your skilled German craftsmen and buy a Mauser 98? A new Mauser 98 in 416 Rigby is the only rifle I'd ever take to Africa if I was a German. And to top off that rifle with a Smith & Bender 1-8 Exos, man, you'd have a sweet rifle. And you'll be hunting with the best that Germany has to offer, and you'll make guys like me extremely jealous. And our last letter is from Patrick in Southern California. Patrick wrote, thank you for the video about tipping in Africa. I wish I saw this video 10 years ago. I hunted in South Africa with a very popular outfitter, and I heard the PHs talking about not wanting to hunt with the client because he never tips that much. That behavior rubbed me the wrong way, and I'll never hunt with them again. One thing you didn't cover in the video is who to give the tips to. On my 3 South Africa trips, I had to give the tips to the outfitter who distributed them to the staff at a later time. On my last Zimbabwe hunt, I personally gave tips to the staff, and I think I like doing that better because it guarantees that the staff doesn't get screwed. Yeah, I guess I probably should have covered this in that video, and I neglected that, so I'm sorry for that. But I'll answer your question here. The only times that I've ever had trouble with a tipping situation like that is in South Africa. Many South African outfitters hold their employees' tip money because they're afraid that the staff is going to run off into town to party after you pay them tips in cash. And the lodge is afraid that if the employees bail out after you pay them to go party in town, the lodge will be short staffed for the next hunter that comes after you. But honestly, like you, I don't like doing that. I want to tip people personally. I want to see staff members physically receiving the money that I'm giving to them. But, since I stopped hunting with South African outfitters, I've never experienced that problem again. And, I'll be honest with you, if I overheard all the camp PHs trying to get out of hunting with the client because his tips were too small, I would definitely stay away from that outfitter. Professional hunters should conduct themselves with way more professionalism than that. And that's pretty much as bad as it gets. Well, that's it for this month's mail. Here's some memes for February.
Our hearts beat to the city streets. We began to feel the fire. We rise like tall buildings as the chemicals, they take us higher. The night's young and it's just begun as she puts her hand in mine. We wanna chase the night, wanna dance to the light, pull the stars from the sky, just two hearts running wild. Never sleep, never stop, as we shout from the top. We're gonna be two hearts running wild. Now the morning is the afternoon. We lay awake in bed. The laughs so loud as the hours pass. We're gonna do it all again. We wanna chase the night, wanna dance to the light, pull the stars from the sky, just two hearts running wild. Never sleep, never stop, as we shout from the top. We're gonna be, we're gonna be two hearts running wild.
Well, I hope everyone had a fantastic Valentine's Day and you stayed in good graces with your wife or girlfriend. What you do on Valentine's Day could very well affect the rest of the hunting season. It's serious business and you won't get another chance to make things right until next year. But if you did mess up on Valentine's Day and you need some advice for surviving the rest of the year, you could definitely contact me. You can reach me with any questions or comments at desertdogoutdoors@gmail.com. Thank you for watching, and as always, good hunting.